Alright, so for case number 5, this is a Colles fracture, 6 weeks, cast removal. She's moving into the controlled motion phase. She has lots of range of motion limitations in her fingers and wrists, so what we'll start out doing is some stretching for her fingers and her thumb. So to stretch her fingers, I would have her lay her palm facing up on the table, hand or fingers over the edge, and then she could move into slight wrist extension and finger extension as well. So we want to avoid in range of motion because she has pain of 6 out of 10. So just keep that in mind, and then she can provide pressure at the fingertips and hold this. She'd hold this for about 10 to 15 seconds, and she'd repeat this to get about 45 seconds to a minute total. To emphasize, this is primarily for the FES and FTP. If she wanted to focus more so on the FCR and FCU, she could relax her fingers and then provide pressure more so at the MCP joint instead. So go ahead and do that. And then she's having trouble with opposition of her thumb, so we're going to stretch out the first CMC joint a little bit. So we're going to assume the Finkelstein position. So what she'll do is tuck her thumb in and then make a fist, and then she can flip her wrist over a little bit, and she's going to provide pressure into ulnar deviation as much as she can. She didn't have that much available in the range of motion, and this should stretch the tendons of the APL and the EPL to help her oppose her fingers a little better. So next we're going to get started in some active range of motion of her fingers and her wrists. So what she can do, she can rest the dorsum of her palm on the table and then just try to make a fist to the best of her ability. Back down. She'll do this for 5 times and then rest, and she can repeat that 10 times throughout the day. Eventually progressing into sets of 10 to 15 for about 3 to 5 sets throughout the day. And then to stretch her extensors, palm facing down on the table, try to bring her fingertips up off of the table. Again, to the best of her ability. She wants to avoid in range of motion, so she avoids that pain. Same rep scheme, she did this for about 5 reps, perform it throughout the day. Lastly, we'll get into some isometric strengthening of her wrist and her fingers. So what I could have her do, I could give her this ball, and she could try to grip it and squeeze it as hard as she can, also moving into some wrist flexion as is comfortable. She'd, each hold would be for about 6 to 10 seconds, and she'd do this for 3 to 5 reps, 5 to 10 times throughout the day. Previously she was doing like 50 to 60 maximum voluntary isometric contractions, so try to keep that same intensity, even like going up to like the 60 to 70% range. And then she could also work on isometric strengthening of her extensors. So again, put the back of her hand on the table and then just push into the table, emphasizing like pushing down with her fingertips right here for finger extensors, and then also pushing with the wrist a little bit as well.